My name is Christian King, and this is my book report on Beyond Colorblind. Now, starting this book, looking into it, really it's basically about like how Christians and how people in general, not just Christians, see color blindness and how to effectively address it, which kind of interesting to me because as a black man in America, I feel like being colorblind is worse than being racist. So there are some of the things that really like speak to me in this book. Like on this page, okay, I'm taking too long to find a page. On page 12, I believe the first chapter, there's a story that's talking about how like a young white man is like talking to like this other black woman, and how she watched him as he says yes to Jesus and was crying for him, but not because she was in spite of him being white, but because of who he is as a white man. And many other black students were saying like how he'd never seen a white person talk like that before. And then later on, what really speaks out to me is when he says like he experienced brokenness in their ethnic identities, and he says, "I don't know what happened to me." And then the Christian laughed and said, "I think Jesus happened to you," which that in itself is like really cool, because like it's one of the reasons why I like Christianity so much, because it's just like you just don't really like think about like who people are in terms of their race when it comes to following God. It's just you guys it's just everybody, regardless of race, regardless of color, ethnicity, just following to God as people, as a group. Another thing that was in here that I really liked was the part, it's like in the beginning of the book again, but it's about where it goes into detail about ethnicity, because ethnicity isn't necessary. Like, everyone always assumes, like when you're like filling out stuff online, they always assume that when people are talking about like ethnicity, I was like, oh, we're talking about race, but it's like there's more to it than that. Like it goes into detail about everything, about all the ethnicities: Black, Asian, Hispanic, Latino, Middle Eastern, white, Native, all of that stuff. And that's something else I thought was pretty cool that they went into detail about, because they explained it, like they made it like they even with Hispanic and Latino, even that's like for me myself personally, when I'm like referring to those to that race or ethnicity of people, I don't really know which one to refer to. So like to play it safe, I kind of just like say Latino to play it safe, because like, but I really don't know the difference between Hispanic or Latino. But in the book, it really just like it doesn't want people to be they don't like to be called, like the word Hispanic makes them uncomfortable. So throughout the book, they say they're going to refer to those kinds of people as Latino, which I think is really cool, because they're really like addressing to like certain kinds of people that could be potentially reading this book. But that's something else I thought was pretty cool. A story that I thought was pretty cool in the book was on page 68, a new name for white brothers and sisters. A wise man once told me that you can judge people by their proximity to their religious text. The Quakers were known for their commitment to scripture, prayer, and opposition to slavery. Levi Coffin, an American Quaker, was nicknamed the president of the Underground Railroad because of his lifelong work in the abolitionist movement during the early 1800s. Coffin helped between 2,000 to 3,000 Black Americans escape slavery and raised more than $200,000 for the abolitionist cause. And that's really cool, because that's another part of my history that I didn't even know about until reading this book. Because because based on what I've heard and what I've learned, the only person who was really helping slaves in around those times was Harriet Tubman. But I didn't know there were like other people that were helping them, other kinds of abolitionists out there, let alone them being Quakers. And this next quote is really cool what he says, because he was like chastened about his neighbors and friends for contributing to an illegal effort. And simply, he said, the Bible in bidding to feed the hungry and clothe the naked said nothing about color. And I should try to follow the teachings of that good book. So like, in his eyes, he wasn't really doing like, even though everyone else was thinking he was doing this criminal act, he was just like, no, because the Bible has never been about color. And if I'm good, even if it means, even if what I'm doing is an illegal act, then I don't care. I'm still gonna do the right thing, which is help these slaves and just be a better person. So to wrap this all up, this was a really like good book and really interesting book. And I don't even like read really that often. This was like, but even so, like after reading about this, low key over the summer, I might just pick it up and reread it again to like maybe even see if there's more that I can learn. This is a really good book, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to read this book, Theo.